Welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast, where we talk about the struggles and celebrations that leaders and entrepreneurs experience on their journey to success. I'm your host, Kristina, and I'm passionate about helping you achieve massive amounts of success at work and at home. We'll talk about all things people and organizational wellness, share relatable stories, and feature insightful guests because quality people and processes are at the heart of every success story. Ready to learn, grow, and have fun? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast. I'm your host, Kristina Schmitt. So I like to bring excellent leaders on and have them come and share their story. And I happen to meet today's guest, or actually we happened to attend the same networking event and met afterwards because there was a beautiful spreadsheet sent out afterwards. So if you run networking events, side tip, send out something afterwards because people can continue the networking thing after. But I met my next guest afterwards, and he is gracing us with his presence today to share some background about what he's done. So welcome, David.
Kristina, great to be here. Thanks so much for having me. It's serendipitous, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on your podcast. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you on. So David is the CEO and co-founder of US Digital Partners. So US Digital Partners bridges the gap between where companies are and where they want to be. And they partner with small and middle market companies to improve the branding, messaging, websites, and advertising, and even more of their businesses. So David, welcome. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So US Digital Partners is coming up on 23 years. So I've been pulling on those oars, rowing that boat for a couple of decades, and through all kinds of storms and sunny days and everything. And it's been an adventure. It's been a lot of blessings throughout it, from our people to our clients to my own life. And married 25 years, raised 5 kids, a wonderful wife. We live in Cincinnati, Ohio. And one of the unique things about our agency is that we're all in the same building. We never really did the remote thing very well, and we decided that we were always better together. And so we have a great office in downtown Cincinnati that we come to every day and do a lot of collaboration. And it's been a great ride.
Awesome. I love that. Like, I work remotely, if that's not obvious, but my favorite thing is to go into companies, go and work one-on-one, or go and work with the whole team. There's an energy that comes from it. Do you find that too?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we just all moved to this new building. So we were a little over 12 years in an old building. And we intentionally sought out a place where everybody could have their own office. So because I don't believe in the open office thing, I think it's a completely failed model and it's ridiculous. And it was just a way of cutting costs for companies and everything. And now remote proves that, because that's another way of cutting costs. But you need a place where you can come away, close the door, and concentrate. And if you can't do that, I think you're doomed as an employee, team member, leader. I need thinking time. I need writing time. And my team members do too. Mm-hmm. And now that everybody's meeting virtually, right? So you have to close the door and have Zoom meetings or Google Meet or team meetings or whatever you're going to do. So this seems like brilliant timing to have our new office be private offices. And then there's like collaboration space where people come out and they hang out, they work. Mm-hmm. And that has like the best windows. So it gets people out spending time together. And then huge kitchen and dining area and other small team spaces. And so, yeah, building on what you're saying, I do think that's where the energy is. That's where the creativity is. So I get it in both places. I get it together, spending time with people, and then silent creative time too.
Absolutely. And definitely as a leader, you need both, right? You need that time to think. Like, I was actually just working with a client the other day, and we were talking about, like, good leaders are always up to something, and you can't come up with the thing to be up to unless you have a little bit of time away, a little bit of time to yourself, a little bit of
white space.
White space, yes.
And it's just, I put something out on LinkedIn on this book, which I think is First Lead Yourself. But it's all about, like, the author had to been faith-based, because it was all about contemplation. You got to find contemplation space. And this is
Mhm.
like so much a part of, the Christian tradition, Judeo-Christian tradition of having time for contemplation and silence. So if you get the silence, great things can happen. All for
Absolutely.
collaboration, but leaders need silence. Leaders need white space on the calendar to
Yes.
consider things and digest a whole bunch of information and write and make a decision.
Hmm. Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
So,
So sometimes it's easier for some than others.
amen.
I am one who has to force herself to sit down and do it, but I know it's good. It's good for me.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, it's building those practices of quiet time, prayer time, study time.
Hmm.
Then your community time is good as well.
Absolutely. So you've been in business, you said almost 23 years.
That's
That,
just this company. Yeah, I'm a little
okay.
older than that, so been around for, I don't know, been doing this for almost 4 decades.
All right. So before you started US Digital Partners, what were you doing before that?
Well, most recently before that, I was in the consulting world. So I worked for a management consulting firm based out of Chicago. Spent about 4 years in the late 90s, early 2000s helping companies figure out what the internet was going to do to their business. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was very informative on how to run a consulting firm, how to find new clients, how to do all that. And that was really interesting. No regrets. But then we all hit a wall with the economy in 2001 and the recession and everything. So I really just wanted to take a shot at doing the more creative side of business consulting. I just didn't want to do consulting and help people figure out what technology was or implement ERP systems or all of that. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
help them figure out what the internet was going to do and how they could continue to serve their customers, find new customers, market their business via the web. And so
Yep.
the web thing hit me hard. I was building my own websites on the side, having fun doing that, and just thinking this is much more interesting than, project management, program management, software implementation, all of that. So that's where I I made a hard turn and said I want to be more creative marketing.
Yeah. Well, it's such a needed business because there's so many businesses, small business owners, that sort of thing, that they've got a niche that they're good at, but they can't do the things that you do. And so it's wonderful that they can bring you in and you can help them get the website, do the marketing, do the like doing all of that stuff that like I personally do not have those bones in my body.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing to have that. And really almost every business needs it. So
Yeah, and that's what we found is no matter what happened to the economy or technology, apps, social media, now AI, everything,
mhm,
companies are going to need a good, dependable team of people that can help them get from point A to point B faster. They
yes.
can't do it all themselves. And so that's the role we fill. We bridge that gap.
I love it. It's great. So 20, almost 23 years ago, you started. So you're a co-founder. So you started with a business partner. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what did that look like?
Well, it was a little bit we both knew that we wanted to do the agency thing. We both knew we wanted to do the web thing. We stumbled across each other, did some projects together. We went through hell on some certain circumstances, and then we persevered and just said, "We're going to do this. We're going to burn the bridges, and we're going to be stuck doing this come hell or high water, and we're going to press on." And so that's what those early years are just raw perseverance, just
Yeah.
raw perseverance. Now we were both in our 30s. Mark was 4 or 5 years older than me. We had been successful. We had saved money. I mean, we were paying ourselves below the poverty line. I remember my tax filing from like 2003, 2004. As a family, we were below the poverty line. I only had one kid then, as we were getting going. But you live off savings, and you press on, and you go out and you sell another project, and you figure out how to do it, and you go out and you sell another project, you figure out how to do it, and you work with contractors, and eventually you can afford your first employee, and
Yes.
all of that. But our ambition was never to be hundreds of people growing crazy. I always wanted to be more balanced, intentional about the clients we bring on, serve them well, do the work, don't just take the revenue, do the hard work. And I wanted to raise a family and not be traveling all over. I did that as a consultant, flew the airlines Monday through Thursday, Friday. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be at home and help, raise the kids and be present. And so that was a big part of it as well.
Mhm. That's great. That it's so important to be able to make sure that your personal vocation, your personal life is taken care of by your business rather than being abandoned by your work. So, how did you know at that time? Like sometimes we forget when we start our businesses, it's like head down, hunker down. Like how did you keep that in mind while you were growing?
Well, I think so that's a big faith thing. I would say that my priority, my goal was first to Margaret, my wife, to
Mhm.
be her husband, to support her, to be open to having a family. And then once kid number 1 comes along and kid number 2 comes along, you got to help out a lot. And so I always wanted to be able to kind of box in the working day and go out, do what needs to be done. If I need to run home and do something, or I need to take a kid to an appointment or whatever, just do it. Like, go
Mhm.
do it, go help out, and come home and, set it down. You can't always walk away. You have to check if something's blowing up and your phone's blowing up and there's something that needs to be taken care of. You got to take care of it. But
Mhm.
I tried to focus on them coming in the door, laying aside things, being cheerful, being helpful as much as possible. So I think it's just not it. I wouldn't say dividing your life, because I never like it when people say, "Oh, your spiritual life, your financial life,
Mhm.
your work life." No, it's all one big messy goulash. It's just crazy. You're trying to do one thing, and then all of a sudden there's something family wise that needs to take priority. But it's just this continual balance, getting out of balance, getting back in balance. And I think that's worth doing. I think that's that tension in your life, the
Mhm.
tension, the healthy tension of your conscience, hopefully if it's well formed, and
Mhm.
you have a prayer life, and you have you're trying to um, to lead your team members, to lead your family, all of that. It's really balancing those priorities, and sometimes saying, the Lord's going to have to take care of this. I can't solve this right now, or we're going to address that tomorrow. That's enough for today.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know if that's helpful, but that's my
It
initial
is.
reaction.
It is. It's just that you said it though, priorities. It's keeping them in the right order. And I think
Yeah,
that
it's hard to do.
it's hard to do, but I think there comes a point, and I don't know if it's age, if it's faith, if it's what I'm not sure what it is, but at some point in life, you figure it out. You're like, oh, that's the right order. Things have to change, or I'm doing it right, or whatever that is. Like I know myself personally, I was in manufacturing and I was 1.5 kids in basically and
Yeah,
was like, this order is wrong. I am off. And it was not working for me anymore. So that's kind of how my leap into this world happened.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I would say, to our team members who are balancing kids, especially the women on our team, I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do it. And
mhm,
it is hard in those years before they go to school, and then going to school, maybe you can see how it happens more, but it's remarkable. Yeah. My wife and I
mhm,
are constantly having that conversation. And now our kids are getting old enough that one's graduating from college and some others are in college. And yeah, how do you pass on that wisdom? There's no right answer. There is no right answer. So much depends on the individual and what they can do and what they can't handle and where their heart
mhm.
is, where their mind is, all of that. So only they can answer those questions for themselves.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
That's true. Yep. When you're ready, you'll get it.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about the growth of your business. So you had the two of you, then you started adding. So how
Yeah.
did did you just get more business, or what made you decide to keep adding?
We got more business. At first, we were pretty much a web shop where we would, do websites for company. And so there was the planning and the design and the development, and then there's some support. And I think gradually we would build more complex websites that needed more consistent support. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
those, especially e-commerce and other companies, would need us like month in and month out. They need us to change things and enhance things and move things and like continually have some project. And that's what became digital marketing, really,
Mm-hmm.
because like social media really didn't exist. Paid advertising kind of existed a little bit, and then we evolved as the web evolved. So email marketing got more important, and we would do more and more email marketing for our clients. Eventually advertising started to take off more. Search advertising was sort of the first frontier, and that evolved. Even before Google, there were other types of search advertising platforms, and then that became the biggest thing. And then with the rise of social media, or
Mm-hmm.
banner advertising, actually before that, buying banner advertising, you could buy them on AOL and things like that. It was crazy.
Remember those?
Yeah, that's really dating yourself there. Then social media, blew up, but social media had no advertising until Facebook started doing advertising, and then,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. So we kind of evolved as these things evolved.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, Smartphones come out, we start building iOS and Android app, right? We start doing websites that need to adapt for smartphones and tablets and everything. So our firm evolved, and people wise, we would add people to help. I think the biggest leap for us was building out the account management team of all things, because early on we were pretty set against that as partners because we had seen it done so poorly in other agencies, and we are like, oh no, we're not going to need that. That's not good. But and it took us a while to get there with finding the right people, and that has been a big difference too, because if you're going to start working with, a large manufacturing company or healthcare company, you're going to do things month in and month out. And
Mm-hmm.
you really need some people on your team whose brain is on their business all the time. And that's really the account management team that's then pulling designers or developers or advertising people and trying to keep the whole thing moving forward. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a great gift. It's a lot of hard work, and building out that capability, I think, has gotten us to a point where we can just be more productive, more disciplined, add more value to our clients month in and month out.
Yeah, it's almost, it gives them that personal touch, personal service to some extent, that they know you care about them and you understand their business, which is huge.
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
great. And then, some we do more than digital. We end up doing more than digital. People will have us design their trade show stuff or
Mm,
do some print things or do TV ads, billboard ads, annual reports, brochures, things like that that would be a natural extension. If we already know the brand and the
yes.
messaging and have an approach, then
Hmm.
those are easy add-ons. But
Yeah,
yeah, we
that's it.
wouldn't do that stuff normally. Somebody would call us up and say, "Hey, can you do our billboards?" No.
Yes, but if you've got an existing client, it's just a natural, like,
Yeah, because we know when billboards are right and how they would be the right mix, and we don't want to just design something that we don't have it integrated as part of an overall marketing strategy.
Yeah, because it does have to connect. Otherwise, it feels choppy and it doesn't give the same effect or impact that you would need otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I want to talk about your transition from there, because to go from like the partnership level to then now having people doing these things, now you're leading people. So what was that transition like personally for you to make?
yeah. I think, well, it's all building blocks. So I think you hire people who can't do what you can do well.
Mm-hmm.
You hire people who are better designers and better developers and better at the data and analytics for tracking ad campaigns and generating reports and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about knowing thyself and your own gifts and realizing, my gift is understanding what a company's all about,
Mm-hmm.
what their products and services are, and what's the next best thing for them to do. How
Mm-hmm.
do they go down that road to improving their marketing, to generating more sales, to growing their business. And so I think I didn't want to become the lead developer. I didn't want to become the lead designer or the guru of ads or
Mhm.
the, ninja project management expert. That's not my gift. My gift is
Mhm.
more for the strategy and the gab and setting the vision of what that company should be doing. So I think my consulting days, I got to work with, enormous Fortune 1000 companies all over doing all kinds of different things. And I think that process gave me the confidence that there isn't anything I can't figure out. Like the most
Mhm.
complex fintech things we can understand. Healthcare, I've spent a ton of time in healthcare. I understand the industry. And I'm not trying to, I don't need to know the neuroscience to be able to help the Neuroscience Institute.
Yes.
I'm helping the Neuroscience Institute improve their marketing in order to have customers feel and patients feel better about coming to them for services
Mhm.
and understand and bring down their anxiety level about having a neuro procedure done. So I think that's the special gift in realizing what your gifts are and the kinds of people you need to surround yourself with,
Mhm.
and then kind of getting out of their way, letting them do it and not be so dependent on you.
Yes, yes, that is huge. I find that that is such a difficult thing for a lot of business owners to do,
Mm.
though, that it's like whether, and sometimes it's because they were the technician before, right? They
Yeah.
were the expert of this, and now they did bring somebody in better. Now they're having a hard time transitioning, saying, "What do I do now?"
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's great that you didn't. Did you have that at all, or did you
Well,
know where?
I'm still very hands on in the sales efforts and meeting new clients because that's where I get excited. I get
Yeah.
excited, learning about businesses and figuring out how we can help them. So I think that's, um, my team would probably say, "Oh yeah, you still insert yourself in things." And yeah, I do. Because sometimes I'll be raising my hand like, we tried this before and it didn't go so well, or that was kind of a waste. Maybe we don't do that and we aim for something different. So I think that's the role of a father too.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
your children, you have to let them do some things certainly and experience some things, but you also have to be that wise voice
Hmm.
in their head that's like, hey, don't do that, kid. That's you don't want to do. My kids were quoting me this weekend because
Yeah.
we went to go visit two of them in college, and they said it's something. They go, right, Dad, because nothing good happens after midnight, right? And I'm like, you got that right. Nothing good happens after midnight.
Exactly. You do know they were listening at some point.
Yeah,
Oh, there are so many parallels to parenting and leadership that, yes,
it's
I talk about it.
shocking. It's the same thing. It's the same.
Yes, I literally talk about this all the time
It's the same thing.
because your goal is the same. You're trying to produce, I guess, grow productive people, productive human beings. And some you're a little more emotionally attached to because you've known them since they were born, but you can get just as emotionally attached to your team in
Yeah.
a similar way.
Oh, yeah. And I think isn't that's really important. I mean, you have to love your
Hmm.
team members.
Hmm.
You have to
Hmm.
love them. You have to look at them and say, I care for these people. I want the best for these people. We're not going to be celebrating Christmas together. We're not going on vacations together. We're not sharing the deepest, but you share a lot.
Yeah.
And this is about loving your neighbors yourself. Like that's it right there. There they
Hmm.
are.
Hmm.
Do it. And
Yes.
it's hard, right? Because sometimes people do stuff. They don't work hard. They don't work out. They gossip, they backbite, they do other things and it hurts,
It does.
right?
Yeah.
It hurts
Yeah.
when you try and pour into them. And you can't ever give everybody as much time as you want to. Like I wish I could hang out with people more and
Mhm.
find out what's going on, but yeah, it just I think you've got to find out how to truly love people in a healthy way in
Yes,
order to move ahead, or else it just doesn't make sense. It's not
absolutely.
worth doing.
It's not.
It's
I
not
mean,
working out.
that's what makes a wonderful leader, is that you've got that love for them. And part of loving people is speaking the truth, holding accountable, kind of knowing, like you said, sometimes knowing when it's not right. So
Right.
knowing when to help them by moving them forward or helping them to make that choice to move on or whatever that looks like too.
Yep.
So
Yep. That
yeah.
too.
Not always the best thing, not anyone's favorite thing to do, I don't think. Sometimes necessary, but yes. Yeah, definitely about that love. So, what is next for your business? What's exciting there?
Well, so our clients, it has been a difficult couple of years economically for a lot of companies out there. So helping them figure out the right marketing spend to persevere through difficult economies, up and down. We have clients who are uncertain about what the tariffs are going to do for them, what government spending reductions are going to do to them. So once again, there's always something where you have to be with your clients to help guide them through those turbulent times. Others maybe just getting going, launching, or experiencing record growth. So it's a little bit of what's happening with us is always what's happening with our clients, what's important to them, what their big projects are going to be. And sometimes it's unpredictable where they come out of the blue and they're like, boom, we want to do this huge project and you're fabulous. Let's go for it. This sounds great. Let's plan that. Let's build it out. Let's do it. So when you have hundreds of clients, most of our business is from referrals or existing clients. That stuff just happens all the time. That happens all the time. And then we see, okay, now we know what we're doing next month. Look at this, all this, we got to figure out how to get all this work done. Huge new project. So yes, we still have outbound sales efforts and everything. People are talking, the usual stuff. What's AI going to do to my business? How are we going to implement it? All that. Those questions are great. And we love working through those. But I think they're all going to be little experiments for people, like figuring out, okay, great. We have an opportunity to create something here and learn from some of the data or enable some data to be better accessed by their customers. That's going to be fun. We're dying to do more of that with
Awesome.
our clients. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think everyone's excited about AI. Like, what can I do to make it do more for me, to grow my business, to do all of that? So, digging in and getting some data approach to it would be very beneficial for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this year and into next year will be the year of people kind of practically deciding to try some different AI applications and rather than you can use ChatGPT or Grok or all these other things, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And then you finally think, how does this change our sales process? How does this change our customer service process? How do we think about that, and who can help us figure that out? So I think
Yeah.
that's yet another big tech shift
Hmm.
that we're helping our clients deal with.
Yeah, and I feel like there's more to that though, that you'd be doing tech, but you'd also be like helping them to integrate it into something. So like almost process work to some extent too.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's all of that. And then the cool thing is it continues to learn and improve, where we used to help people with content strategies, having to kind of just pull it out of them, kicking and screaming. How do I generate more email content, more blog content, more product content, more video content? Well, there's all that, but then how do you take all that content and make it searchable and understandable and create some smart engine that can direct people to the right kind of content that they really need instead of nobody in their right minds really wants Google to survive. I think if you think about it, aren't we all just done with Googling things? Like you might Google something and you think you get an answer and it takes you down this road, but you still got to go scan through all these results and the ads are sitting in front of you and you really don't have the answer you need. Right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
nobody, and I think even Google realizes this, right? Because they're changing the way things work, but I don't want to Google anything anymore. I
yeah.
might want to Google map something, right? But
You won't have to
still,
eventually.
that's still yeah, it needs to do a much better job of getting me where I need to go. And
Exactly. Yes.
the auditory prompts of all that. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for sharing just so much about your business and about just like what it really takes to have a great team. Because like when When leaders and businesses can have a great team, and then when they have a great leader who loves the employees, right? Like that gives your customer service, like better customer service, better outcomes, and just better overall business. So amazing that you have that. And so thank you so much for sharing with us.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. And let's keep at it. This is it's worth doing. It's worth doing for all our clients and the economy and everything. And this is it's a great blessing to be able to do this. So we need to take it seriously.
Definitely awesome. Well, thank you so much. And to the listeners, thank you so much for listening today. If you liked today's episode, like it, subscribe it, share it with a friend, leave a comment on the YouTube video, and most importantly, leave a review, because that is how we get the algorithm working for us. So thank you so much, David. Thank you to all the listeners, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Business Building Blocks podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Building Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you found value in our conversation, please leave a quick review, like, or share. It helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. For more resources and insights, visit KristinaSchmitt.ca, where you can find tools and support to empower your leadership journey. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.